How is it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and welcome to what is one of the best British medium tanks in World of Tanks console, and that is why we're showcasing it off today. However, there are a few things to note about this vehicle that separate it from the traditional British medium tanks, and that is how this tank uses its main armament, because this thing has a pack-a-punch. It has 440 alpha damage, and although in this game we are going to have some issues with what Wargaming want me to do with this main armament and what actually happened, we are going to see what this tank can do. It has 202 penetration with standard rounds. It has 252 mil with its premium rounds. So it's sitting at a pretty decent rate in terms of its ammunition choices that you can choose. You're not really having any problems when it comes to dealing with opponents in the game. But when you look at this thing, when you find it in your games, if maybe you've got this hanging around in your garage and you're wondering whether or not you should waste your time taking this one out, I'm going to cover that in the video. And I really do think that this is one of the better medium tanks available for everyone to use, because that 440 alpha translates into a damage per minute on this vehicle of 1700, which is on the low side, but for a tier 8 medium they're all on the fairly low side. But because you're dealing pretty much double what any other vehicle or any other medium can do at this tier, makes it really useful for when you're fighting in higher tier games, which are usually the bane of consistency when it comes to medium tanks in World of Tanks, because as you go up the tiers you're facing vehicles such as tier 10 mediums that are able to do more damage than you and reload faster than you, and they've got more armor. So it pretty much becomes a point at which you feel significantly disadvantaged playing a medium at tier 8, more so than any of the other classes that you play, to be honest with you, because you are just outclassed in pretty much all departments, bar maybe a light tank being slightly worse off, I guess. But you can still play light tanks quite easily, and you can retreat, you can run away. They're not as easy to take out, whereas mediums are quite easy to take out. However, we do not have to deal with that. We are playing in a tier 6 to tier 8 game, and our first hit goes against this little VK301D, who unfortunately crossed a bit too late in the game, and so we managed to hit him twice. Unfortunately, the second one rolls what has to be nearly minimum roll. Well, not quite, but it was a very low roll. We'd low roll by about 70 damage there. Which is quite bad. However, we do find ourselves a little T77 there, and we're already up to 1200 damage. The team are kind of pushing quite, I guess, aggressively towards the right hand side of the map. So when you've got a tank like this, you really don't have too much speed. You sacrifice a little bit of that engine power that you see with some of the other mediums. It can go 50 kilometers an hour, so it's not absolutely horrendous or anything like that. But it certainly isn't the best in the world, and you can see here we try and land a shot on the T77. We hit kind of the upper plate angled, which means we bounce, and then this Skoda T56 manages to get across without us being able to hit him because we're on that reload. That's where the DPM of the tank does kind of suck, because you do have such a long intricate reload, which means you can't track people as easily. However, at this point, this is where we make a little bit of a misplay maybe, and that is the fact that we are now kind of all alone on this flank. It's not looking all too good for us. We've got a medium coming up from behind us, but we've got two tanks in front of us. One of them being that Skoda T56, which is going to be a pain. This VK pushes out. We have to deal with him for only 70 damage. But this Skoda is going to pop up, and that has the potential to do 900 damage to us. So really have to focus on trying to bounce some of his shots, keeping our armor as far forward towards him in particular than any of the others, because of that damage potential. We've now got the T77 who's pushing up. We're going to aim. We can't fully aim because by the time we fully aim, we're not going to be able to hit him because he'll be behind cover. And of course, we do manage to hit quite luckily. We're up to 2.9k. The Skoda's now pushing up. Our teammates over on the left, we're really having to utilize them. But now we have got ourselves a heavy tank who's coming around. Our team aren't punishing the Skoda. I've got myself this Churchill who's come around now. Can we get one into him? We do. We ammo rack him. But unfortunately, we got someone from behind. Now, a thing to do in this department is to face forward. And so, okay, we've kind of been stuck up on this rock, but I'm sure we can get away. I'm sure we can get away. Surely we can back up. Surely we can, you know, reverse up this slope from behind us. Like, we're not stuck here, are we? Oh no. Oh no, we are. We're magically stuck on this rock. I can't even go forward at this point. I've tried going forward and yeah, okay. So so that was fun. We pick up 3.3k damage. Ideally there, what I would have done is push downwards. That means the shots from the Skoda couldn't hit me because I'd be down on the ridge. He'd have to fully expose himself to all of the teammates and I would have had to try and tank out the medium or heavy that was directly below me. The T-77 would have most likely been able to get a shot on me or tried to push me, get some shots, but I would have survived maybe one more shot more in that game. But unfortunately, we got stuck on this rock. I have no idea what the hell happened there. I couldn't go forward, I couldn't go backward, I could only turn on a swivel, and yeah, it's just Wargaming's physics really screwing up that game in particular. But unfortunately, I do believe we actually lose this game as well, which does kind of suck. But what we can do is we can move forward into the next game and we can see what this tank can do when you don't get shafted by the ground, because thank you. So what about when everything goes perfectly in this tank? Well, we are on Pearl River, one of the maps that quite a few of you seem to hate. This map, they're not really particularly very fond of it. But we are going to make our way into the middle. We're playing in a tier 9 game, so we've not got the bonus of being 2 tiers higher than everyone. And so we're going to have to try and make this one work. We've got the premium rounds loaded from the start in case we meet ourselves a Type 4 Heavy, which we simply probably won't even be able to pen with our premium rounds anyway. But we can try, even when we hit the weak points, it can be a little bit risky. But we're going to go up here. We've got a Slapjack, or at least I believe it's a Slapjack. Yep, there it is. The Slapjack is up with us, tier 7 with a IS hull and a T29 turret with a weird German 88, I believe, something like that. Now, unfortunately for the STA2 here, he does lose about 1600 of his hit points in the first minute of the game starting. But I guess that's what happens when the artillery lands one directly onto you in a lightly armoured vehicle. But what we can do from this point is start to push forward. I'm a little bit hesitant. Pushing in this location can be a bit of a misplay if you do it too early and you don't know what's coming around. Especially in a tank that isn't particularly that fast, where you can kind of just zoom around the corner, get into the middle. And even when you can, if the enemy team have also done that, then it can be very bad for you as well. So we have to keep on moving there. If we stop, it's an auto reloader. He can just absolutely pummel us with rounds. So we don't want to stop in front of an auto reloader or auto loader. You just got to shoot on the move, hope you hit, and then deal damage from a different position and get into a more advantageous position. Don't ever stop in front of the Italian auto reloaders. Now, I was a bit concerned. I thought the Type 5 Heavy there was pushing up. I wasn't paying attention to my mini-map, which I'd highly recommend you do. But what we can do is we can push down and get one onto this Comet. Pushing here is very risky if you don't know what is around the base. So you don't want to go all the way around. You just simply want to expose yourself only to the tank directly on the corner. Now that the Comet is pushed further down, we are not going to go around that corner, because what you'll know about this map in particular is that there is a ton of TDs. We all know about them. We've all seen them before. The campers up in C2, B2, D2, D1, that sort of area of the map directly in front of me now. That is where those tanks are going to be. We're going to go into the Shah. We've got a bit of weight to this vehicle. The Shah, not particularly the heaviest of tanks. And the Shah is now wondering what is going on, and he gets hit by the artillery because, of course, in probably one of the more built-up areas of this map, one of the only built-up areas of the map, the artillery lands one directly on his backside. So that made me chuckle at the time. But with 2,096 damage done, it's certainly not a terrible game, but there's still plenty more that we can do in this game. And so what we're going to do is push over to this location. At some point, we can't really see anyone. we can't really push over there without being lit up by potentially some TDs in the back end. So I'm going to use this little strat to fall down. You can take some damage potentially, but not too much anyway. So we're going to go for a shot on the SU-14-2 there. Not 100% fully aimed. Sometimes you don't have to on the game, provided the majority of the tank is in your view range. Now, we are trying to use the rocks up from behind us to get a little cover to our hull armor and avoid detectability here. As well as now that we've got our full sights on the FV, we unfortunately do manage to hit the track, but we get a little bit of track assist, so I'm not going to complain all too much. But we do need to now try and focus that lower plate or the side of the turret. Oh, there's the side of the turret. Bye-bye. He is now gone. The Type 4 Heavy. Now that is a tank that we can pen in the broad side, and we're going to go for the top area of the Type 4 Heavy on the side, where it's kind of the hull armor of the tank, not the turret, but the very top. That avoids the spaced armor that is directly below there, and so we can pen it far easier and more reliably. So we're up to 3.688 thousand damage so far, so we've beat the game that we had previously in this tank. And now it is time to push on down. I'm going to go for a little bit of spotting damage. Maybe we can spot for the team. Hopefully, the enemy tank in the cap is going to get out to go for the artillery. Or maybe our artillery is going to be able to reset the cap. Our friendlies move into the cap. And uh-oh, there's a Night Stalker. Ooh, very dangerous tank. Luckily, we avoid that, but I'm making my way back to the cap because you don't ever want to lose to cap. You never know what your team are going to do, and I certainly don't want to lose to the cap circle. That's happened far too many times, and I know exactly what the team are typically like when it goes to going back to the cap. Two of the enemy tanks have got in the cap, and so let's push. Let's keep going. There's an IS-2-2. We got teammates. They have destroyed one of them. The rest of the team have jumped in there. I'm pinging attack because we've now reset the cap. No issues there. And then we land one on the Tiger P. But unfortunately, our teammates that are directly next to the one enemy left alive against the 11 on our team don't get out of the cap. Awareness, probably not there. Do they want the a win's a win mentality? Probably. But they may have been able to get more XP and more damage, but we nearly picked up 4k damage and of course picked up 52,500 silver. Remember, this tank has a 30% silver bonus as well. It's not the highest, and in fact it's lower than the majority of tier 8 premiums, but it was definitely a very fun tank and a very consistent one. I really do enjoy playing the Chimera, bringing it out, giving it a go, and of course I believe there is another skinned version of this tank, which is called the Inferno, that has pretty much the exact same stats and is available during Halloween time. So maybe you want to pick that one up in October this year, when Halloween does come around for the Earn operation that comes out at Halloween. So either way, trying to hype up my fellow British vehicle and show you what this tank can actually do. Don't sleep on the Chimera, that's for sure, in the game. And of course, if you got any questions, if you have any tanks that you want me to specifically play, make sure to leave them in the comments. I do read them. I will be looking for tanks that you want me to review, to play, and of course that's dependent on if I have them. I have a lot of tanks in the game, but there are some tier 10s that I do not have just yet, but I'm working my way towards them, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like it if you did and you want to see more videos like this one, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.